It is not about making money. It's not. It's about improving lives, improving the world, and bringing value and getting paid for it. But it's about what you can do to with your skills, with your brain, maybe your brawn, to improve the world, build something, and then just ask people to exchange some value. So that's what we'll be talking about today is value. The value that we can bring to the world using a premium domain name and the business we're going to build. So how can you bring value? And we're going to look at some domains today. Of course, we have some auctions that I'll mention that there's domains that are available this week, available up at auction that you can get, that you can participate and purchase and build your future empire on, bring value to the world. But first, say hi in the chat. Let's get things moving.
Paying a profit from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit from domain to profit. Join Drew Ocean. Get started right now.
So here we are, the day before, or the week of Christmas. My goodness, and a lot of different things happening this week in all of our lives, depending on, I guess, what kind of your faith base. But ultimately, all of our schedules get hectic over the next couple of weeks. And yeah, well, thanks for joining me in the midst of shopping and everything that's going on in your lives. Vito, hey, thanks for joining me. Matt, hopefully that doesn't mean that you're missing sound. Oh, here we go. Brian, you're down in Florence, Kentucky. Well, there you go. Florence, y'all. And Brian probably knows what the heck I'm talking about because they got this big old water tower down there, and it says Florence, y'all, instead of Florence Mall. So if you ever drove up 75, you certainly know that. So thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about value, which is one of the probably my favorite subjects, like even more so than domains. I've been a entrepreneur since first grade. First grade, I ran my first business, I guess you could say. I resold school supplies. So my mom would buy erasers and pens and things, and then I would resell them and basically turn money into bonus bucks. So it'd be bonus bucks, those things that they give kids that represent money. So they can give them. Well, that was my first business, was reselling school supplies for bonus bucks. And I actually got in trouble. I got held back in first grade. There you go. Because I was too busy somehow trying to run this currency exchange from cash money through, laundering through school supplies into bonus bucks. So good stuff. Well, you can bring value, whether it's to first graders through school supplies that they want, or through turning your domain name into a business. And it doesn't take a whole lot. But again, it's not about money. It's about value. So in fact, let's go over to SkyCam because we talked about this last week. And let me pull this back up. So we talk about this pretty frequently, this idea that we're taking a domain name and you can, of course, sell it. You can, of course, develop some crazy business on it. So like Google, they took just some crazy domain name and built something that brings society value. And that's what they do. So, but one of the key things that I write down here every single week or every time that I do this chart that talks about our goal to just tap a domain name to pull out some revenue over time is I mentioned this value thing. And it's a much bigger deal. Value is like, it's everything. Value is business. Value, like so many people, including me, I get caught up in this. Maybe you do as well, where you have some idea and you're like, ooh, that can make a bunch of money. That can make, a bunch of money. I wish I had an example. Who knows? Shower thoughts. You get in the shower and you're having crazy ideas and you're like, ooh, I could make a bunch of money off that. Hopefully that money is tied to this idea of value. Like what you're hopefully saying behind that is, I'm going to be able to solve problems for people. People will pay for this because they're going to see value in it. And so value. You You'll hear it 1,000 times. You probably already have heard it a few hundred times. So, okay, well, that's what the topic's going to be today. And if you watch this, hopefully I'll bring you value by the end of the show. And to start things off, we're going to set up 3-minute business plan. So over here, 3-minute business plan is what we do each week. And this is where I've went through hundreds of thousands of domain names, tried to pull some out that may or may not be good for development. But here's what all these are. These are all domains that are available this week up at auction. That doesn't mean you can go in and buying it from somebody. It means like GoDaddy has it. Somebody let it expire, and they're available for you to purchase this domain name at auction, assuming you're the highest bidder. So these opportunities that we're going to talk about are available to you. So if you don't have ideas, you don't have real estate, you don't have whatever, well, maybe you can get a domain name, one of the ones we're going to talk about today. And the 3-minute business plan over here is a template that you can get from that URL. And it talks about taking that domain name, finding the market, finding those people that you're going to bring value to, and then solving a potential problem. You're providing a solution for that problem. And that's it. We're bringing value. That's exactly when we say that, the conversion of problem to solution to that problem. That is the value. That's the value equation, or one of the value equations. We'll talk about a few more here in a little bit. So I'm going to set us up on our, actually, let me read over the domain names. I like to do this at the top of the show. And I'll actually share out my screen. Hopefully this shares out okay. So here is expireddomains.net, my weekly commercial for them, because it's a free tool that I use to search through domain names. And I'm going to go over here to my watch list and see. So here's some of the domain names that I found this week that some of these are going to be mentioned on the show. Topinsiders.com, insurancesleuth.com, pointexpert.com, zeroliability.com, freightdeliveries.com, weightprograms.com, best personal trainer. You know how I bring up these fitness domains pretty frequently. Relocationexpert.com. That one's already up. I think I have that one in the list today. Remotestarter.com. Remote starter. I don't have a remote starter. I've always been jealous of those, especially living in Ohio when it's cold outside. Have the remote starter in their car. Ventzone.com, financeexperts.com, nonsmoking.com, lingeриeshop.com, trainingday.com, and usestore.com are some of the domains I picked out. Hopefully you can see that. Let me zoom in just real quick for, hopefully you can, there you go. Hopefully you can see those domains there. And we're going over to 3-minute business plan. First domain name that we have up on the chart here is going to be in my wheelhouse. It's going to be freightdeliveries.com, freightdeliveries.com, and I'm going to start the 3-minute timer. So if there's, I'm guessing out of probably all the domainers that are out there, domainers being those who invest in domain names, I probably have the best transportation logistics portfolio out there. So it's just my background. Love the stuff. So freightdeliveries.com, I'm not a huge fan of the domain name just from, the spelling of all the words is, I'm spelling challenged. So I guarantee I'm going to have typos every time I type this domain name or pretty frequently. So it's going to knock it down a little bit, but you can't argue with the idea that freight deliveries very much says it describes a lot of what happens in transportation, especially freight being, often palletized bulk, maybe less than truckload or full truckload type shipments. So a lot of B2B type happening here, even, industry to businesses or type things. So the domain name, when it's a B2B domain name, so you're dealing with businesses instead of consumers, I love them. I'm a huge fan of business-to-business domains because it means your market is usually more documented. You can do a search. You can buy a database of all the companies out there that deal in freight deliveries. So it opens up, it makes the marketing easy. You still have to make a lot of calls, still going to have to do some marketing, but you can know who you need to contact. So our audience is going to be the trucking companies and those who are who either operate freight brokerages, freight forwarders, those who, well, basically make their money shipping freight. And then the market on the other side of that would be those who are shipping freight. Makes sense, right? So what's a problem that they have? Freightdeliveries.com. Well, let's see here. There's so many problems that I deal with in transportation that are out there. I'm just going to go with the classic of the guys who operate the truck, owner-operators. Often you can get the best price, assuming they're allowed to take your business directly. You can get the best price by contacting them directly. They're the guys that are doing all the work, have all the risk, their insurance costs. Here, I'll share you some of my transportation degree. You pay all this money for it. And basically, nearly every truck you see out there is operating. Their operating expenses are over 90% of what they make. You make $1,000, boom, $900 some dollars is gone just based on insurance, gas, all that stuff. So freightdeliveries.com is your direct way to contact the freight industry. And hopefully you get to save money, but also put more money directly into the pockets of the owner operators. Something like that. I don't know. That's always been kind of the dream for me. That's going to be a high IT intensive type business. Of course, the simple version could be going with the, just putting a couple freight brokers up there. So if you're just looking for holiday cash, $12 over on GoDaddy, ends in 2 days. You can always get this, find a couple freight brokers, put them up there as well, and make a couple $100 a month. I don't know. Depends on your goals. And this one is one I will certainly have a couple bids on. Like I said, not my favorite domain. I will say, development score of a domain like that is going to be kind of on the low side. Like it's going to be like a 4. I'd say my Drew development score would be like a 4 on that domain name. You'll probably be able to get the domain name for a few $100. Maybe $300-$400. It could always get carried away, but $300-$400, you get that. You should be able to make your money back, but the upside's not going to be astronomical. It's going to be a few thousand a month, unless you're creating some huge IT project. So there we go. First domain. The question is, how would you build it if you were to get freightdeliveries.com, freight deliveries, and maybe on some of these other keywords, we can look at the SEM rush, the keyword, like how many keywords are in there. So I don't know if that one gets very many searches or not. So let me just say hi to a little bit Michael. Hey, how's it going? Michael is here each week, as well as Lee. Thanks for coming in. And on that list of domain names, yes, a couple of good ones in there. I'm glad you missed them. Hopefully it's the ones that don't get all the TLC that, specific business plan. But yeah, there's some in there. And I added, what's the last one I added just before I came on air? It's not even going to be part of the show, but I think topinsiders.com. Top Insiders, like, I don't know, something about that. I asked my coder Chaz, and I was like, hey, what do you think? Top Insiders, add it. So there you go. Mentioning it again. So I feel bad if anybody's actually going to bid on that one. So here we go. Let's do another 3-minute business plan. Let's go to the one I talked about up top of the hour, top of the show, that I'm so jealous of. Those who have them, the remotestarter.com. So remote starters being, as far as I know, you put it in your car so you can push a button to start your car. If you live in cold weather, you're going to want remote starters because you don't want to go warm up your car. Like you don't have to go out into the cold to get it. So there you go, remotestarter.com, starting the 3-minute clock. And on this one, we're going to do some keyword search because I've not looked it up yet. So I'm going to pull up SEM Rush, bypassing the Bing screen here. So hopefully that'll pull that up. And if you saw, as you can see over up top here, $621 is what that domain name is currently at. And that's because it's an exact keyword. Oh, yeah, here you go. So if you can see over on the screen, the keyword missing the space, 40,000 searches for remote start remote starter. Let me try to put a space in there, see if it changes it. Nope, still 40,000. So 40,000, like that's such a huge deal. So 40,000 searches for remotestarter.com or for remote starter, and you're going to own the .com. So as you can see why it's 620. You can see why it's going to go for significantly more than that. That was 64 cents per click, 40,000, and a lot of related keywords that have a lot of traffic as well. So guys like me, that winter hits and I'm just like, it's time to get me a remote starter. So I think this is a simple product play. This is a simple opportunity to take some of the key remote starters that are out there. And actually, there's a couple different plays. So the problem is a lot of cars don't come with remote starters. They sell installation kits that you can add a remote starter to nearly any car. You can sell the product, which is a nice commission play or an advertising play to where individuals will pay to sell the remote starters. But here's where I love the service, the installers. One of the top keywords over on the SEM Rush for remote starter is the keyword for remote start installation near me. So those are car guys that, who knows, maybe even come to you to install this thing. So anytime there's a service, there's people that make money off it, and you can help those people get more business through remotestarter.com. So you have a product play where you're selling a specific product, as well as a service play to where you are helping people find the installation companies to install the remote starter. In most cases, I believe they're a couple $100 for the remote starter. Installation is probably going to be a couple $100 as well. But man, if you can get $20 from everybody that's wanting to add a remote starter, here you go. Like Michael's saying, even here in Phoenix, what do you do in Phoenix? You have the AC, you cool down your car before you get in it. And then over here, Vito's mentioning that they have it. It's a must-have in Chicago. I think I have a garage, luckily, so it's less of a requirement for me. But yeah, so there you go, remotestarter.com. That one's going to go for a few thousand. I'm guessing. Probably worth it, as you can see, 40,000 some searches for the exact keyword. That is over on GoDaddy Auctions, which all the domains I have this week are from GoDaddy Auctions, which let me add this URL up down here. That's the URL you can go to for GoDaddy Auctions, which you can register for an account and get those domain names. And of course, we are not sponsored or anything by GoDaddy. That's just where the domains are. So you got to go get them. So remotestarter.com. I love that one. So, I don't know. I maybe participate in it. So how would you develop it? We got the product side where you can sell products, which, as you know, on this show, I'm not often a huge fan of selling products, but I do love helping entrepreneurs and those service providers, those guys that are, scrappy out there, like, hey, I know how to install these things. I could do it for other people, a couple $100. I love helping those guys get business. So that's usually where I steer things, obviously. If you've been watching, I steer things towards the service side. But realistic, let's use remote starter here. Remote starters, the product itself, it keeps, it keeps Michael from burning up in his car in Phoenix, keeps Vito from freezing in Chicago. I'd love to have a remote starter to keep from freezing in my car here in Cincinnati. You don't have to scrape your windows if you have your defrost set to turn on and stuff. There's value in that. You're improving people's lives with a remote starter. The service providers, they are improving people's life by installing them, because a guy like me, I don't know anything about cars almost at all. I could change my oil a little bit. My wife's all proud of me because I put air in her tire. I'm a manly man. I can do that. Oh, I replaced a headlight a couple weeks ago. I was like, yeah, that's right. Headlight. But a remote starter, clueless. I'd be on YouTube watching videos. So bring value. That's why we pay for this product. That's why we pay for these service providers. And that's also why when we get our domain names, we need to make sure that we're talking about bringing value to them. So what are some of the ways that we can bring value? Because it's not about making money. We can make money, but ultimately we have to bring value. We can bring value by solving problems. That's one that we go to all the time, or I try to go to often, is we have a market. How can we take that market and then solve a problem that they have? If we solve that problem, dagnabbit, then now we can associate a value to solving that problem. And if it's a big problem, you make a bunch of money. And if it's a small problem, then you only make a little bit. But ultimately, they say if you solve a big enough problem, you can, make more money. Solve a big problem, make big money. There you go. A lot of people are busy solving small problems. So you can solve problems. That's one of the ways that you can bring value to people and turn that value into money. Another one is if you get to add to somebody's life. We all want to improve our lives. We want it to be a better experience. We want to remove obstacles. We want to not have the hassles of the human condition that we have. So Remote Starter, I think, is a pretty good example of, adding to somebody's life. You add this product, and now they no longer have to suffer the scraping of their windows or warming up or, having a cold car. You're adding to their lives. There's so many businesses out there that add to people's lives. Like, heck, we live in increasingly, these are the companies like, DoorDash. How many people nowadays are door dashing just because it's so easy? It's solving a problem of, I guess, maybe our laziness. I'm not sure. I'm anti DoorDash, so I tend to talk bad about it. But it saves us from having to drive up the road and pick up our own food. So there you go. It's added to my life. It's also solved a little bit of a problem, which is laziness, I guess. I don't know. So the third one is saving time or money. If you here in Cincinnati, the power companies, there's all these aggregators. They want to resell the power. They don't actually generate power. They just want to pull enough people together to, go in like some mafia boss and demand lower prices from the power company. And basically they're saving people money. And that's how they make their money. They save people money. So you can save money for people, save time for people, which I will tell you, business-wise, if you can save people time, it is a better business option. Speed and ease is always kind of the thing. So save them time and speed and ease. Make it easier, make it time savings. So when we pull up a domain name, what can we do? What can we put on it that will do one of those things? Solve a problem, add to someone's life, or help them save time. Save time. These are going to be those SaaS things, software as a service. So if we develop, let's see, we've talked about remote starters, which would be probably an add to somebody's life, maybe a solving problem. The first domain we had, my short-term memory's gone, man. Oh, freight deliveries. Yeah, so freight deliveries could save time if you can go to one place and find numerous companies that could handle your freight delivery. Now you no longer have to sort through Google and find this and that. You can go to one place, find all the freight deliveries. So you're saving people time, probably saving them some money a little bit as well. You're creating speed and ease, right? You're allowing them to do something faster and making it easier. And then you get to charge a little bit because you make it easier on your visitors. Those visitors come to your site. And if you have visitors that are coming to a topical domain name like freightdeliveries.com, those topical visitors, people are trying to reach them. Freight companies are trying to reach them, which actually, let me just look real quick. Freight. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm just kind of curious. Freight deliveries. I think I spelled it right. Let's see here. Maybe. Okay, so there's 880 searches. But here's the key. This is why I wanted to search for it. It occurred to me that the cost per click of business-to-business keywords, especially like in the freight, this is why I do so much in transportation, is the cost per clicks are often rather high. So even though search volume is low, the cost per click's 5. So there's all kinds of freight brokers and things that are out there that are looking to, get more business. It's super expensive to do it per click, so it only makes sense to to pay to be on websites and things. When you see those high cost per clicks, that's when you have an opportunity to kind of present exposure to people, provide them more business, more exposure, and do it for $100, $200 a month. And it makes sense for them because they might be paying, well, even 800 times 5. My goodness, I can't put the money together. What's that? $4,000, a little over $4,000 that somebody would have to pay to be top for a click per that. So for a couple $100, you're sounding like pretty cheap. So here's where all this is going. And I meant to mention this at the top because this is one of the things that I'm asked most recently or most frequently. And that is, how do you start it? What do you charge? What price do you charge for the different services that you do? Whether it is a internet marketing as a service where you're putting together one of our directory sites, membership sites, industry portals, like what do you charge? How do you know what to charge? All of it comes down to value. It's all value based. Like if you're in, let me go over to, take a breath a little bit. I'll take a drink of coffee too. So we're going to go over to Skycam. And what I want to show you here and talk about a little bit is a lot of times people are asking like, how much do you charge on these sites? Like, how do you come up with $20 per month or $200 per month or something? Well, if you think about price, where this is, if you're like charging, giving it away for free, and you're charging $2,000 a month or something, some large price. Basically, I should have did this the other way around. But if you want to charge $2,000, and we put value down here, I usually like it when money's down. Anyhow, so if you want value, if you're going to charge $2,000 a month, what do you think the customer is expecting? Where this is high, and this is low. It's pretty safe to say that if you're going to charge somebody $2,000, they are expecting high value. So they're not expecting, like paying the money does not, that's their expense. What you provide to them, of course, is the value. Like if you're solving a big enough problem, then you better darn well believe somebody's going to pay you, $2,000 or more per month. I have services, B2B service, like SEMrush, for example. I pay SEMrush a couple $100 every single month for one of their entry-level accounts, and I guarantee there's people that pay them thousands. And it's because they provide a lot of data, allow you to do a lot of search engine reports and things that will allow you to make money. And if their tools are helping you make thousands, you better darn well believe it's pretty easy to choose to pay a couple $100. They're adding value to my life, allowing me to do that. Where otherwise, yes, I can get a lot of the same data. I can put all these tools together myself, but it's going to cost a lot of time and money. So they're saving me time and money, already have the product together, worth a few $100s. That's exactly what we're trying to put together here is what can we do to offer high value? Well, when we're first starting out and we just have a domain name, say we buy a domain name like our domain that we're trying to build out currently, which is trackingprograms.com. And we bought that for $255. That domain name, the value that we're providing right off the get-go is going to be very low, right? There's a value associated with the domain name. There's value associated with the domain name, which is why we even bought it, which is why it's worth something. It's like we can see it. There's keywords associated with it. So it has value, which is why it wasn't just a free domain name. So we can pass that value on to our customers. So say we bought it at $200. Well, the tracking program places out there, there's probably quite a few of them that would be willing to pay, say, $10 a month. I think that's pretty, like, just for the value that comes with that domain name, because the domain name is going to have value associated with it. That's kind of what, like, it has value, it has authority. Like if they wanted to say, hey, we're featured, we're listed on trackingprograms.com, there is value already tied into that domain name. that, the value comes from things like authority or the potential of that domain name, or just a scarcity that you can create with your product. Although scarcity is probably a different thing altogether. So ignore that piece. The authority is really probably the biggest piece that they are getting right from the get-go. That's the value you're bringing from day one. There's only one trackingprograms.com. There's only one. If they like the way it sounds, it has authority. If you can provide that authority, there's a value associated with it. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me see. It's another way to say that. I get so caught up in saying the same thing over and over instead of trying to explain it other ways. Yeah, hopefully something to come to me. I want to get better at my metaphors, people. So if you feel free to chat me up with a metaphor if you actually understand what the heck I'm saying. Otherwise, you can just send me confused emojis. So we're going to start off with a low price, possibly, because realistically, our value is pretty low. Now, let's say tracking programs, for example. Let's say the cost per click of tracking programs is $20 per click. And they are looking for a way to get a higher conversion or somehow benefit. Well, a domain name matters to that. So the better the domain name or the more competitive the industry, just by default, you might be able to pull off $50, $100, $200. Just like you can charge that just because the value is going to be a little higher. Value low, value a little higher. And then like on, for example, towing.com. On towing.com, we have not just one domain name, we have, close to 40 towing related domain names. All of them come together to provide additional authority for towing companies and to reduce competition. That's a little bit of that scarcity idea. If you want to have an authoritative domain name and you want to benefit from one in the towing industry, well, you're going to have to do business with us. Like that's pretty much how we've set it up. We have towing.com, towing companies, auto repair, roadside service, all kinds of different domain names. Well, because we have so many domain names, we can offer, I think we calculate it just off the domain price. The value that we can offer is going to be like $500. Like we can provide about $500 a month in just domains because we paid, probably darn close to $1 million for all these domains as of this point. And if you were just to finance those domains, they would have to pay a whole lot of money to have them. So there's value associated, higher value associated with all of our domain names. So if we're charging, $60 or $80 or what we charge now, $99, it makes sense. We're providing that value. Now, what we've done on towing.com is we've not only just relied on the domain names, we've developed them out. There is over $1 million worth of search engine traffic finds our sites. There's $1 million in traffic. There's what else? All kind of, we help them rank in the search engines. We do a lot to help them get business. Well, the value of that has a certain level. Let's say that the value in our traffic, the traffic that we generate, could be another $500. I think we actually calculated it. It's like $800 some per company on the site that they generate in value, which is why we add to it. So if we're generating like $800 in value up here, well, now we're like, hey, we're going to charge a little bit more. We're going to take this up to $80 or something. All our goal is we're trying to increase our value. I guess if we're increasing our value, it should come out here. So what you're seeing form is the more value we provide, the more we want to charge. That's realistically all we're trying to do. So as you start these domain names, well, how much do you charge? Well, you got to estimate the value. How do you estimate the value that you're able to provide for a company, for your customers? How do you estimate that? I love to go to SEMrush. I love to look at these cost per clicks. So for example, 880 people. So this specific domain name is really light on traffic. However, $5 as a cost per click is that's a pretty big deal. Like $5, like, just if a visitor comes by your site, in theory, that visitor should be worth $5, right? If you get them to fill out an email address or something more, suddenly it's probably worth more than $5 because not every click turns into a lead or a contact. So there you go. That makes sense. Anyhow, so what we're trying to do is provide value. So what I want to next talk about is a little bit of how some of the theories that we've come up with to price out, like how can we grow the site by increasing value over time, and some of the different methods of doing that. For example, using scarcity, using counts, and a couple different things. But at first, I want to do a 3-minute business plan. I'm just making myself a note because I don't want to tell you that I'm going to do this and then keep it from you. So scarcity and founding. Okay. These are a couple different structures that we use for pricing things and how we can grow our sites when we're kind of unsure of the value, because you might not know what the value is. You could look at SEMrush, you could look at different numbers, but until somebody's actually paying you something and choosing to continue to pay you something, do you really have any clue what it's worth? Well, I have a couple different things that we've done that allows us to figure those numbers out. And I know it's worth you getting that information from me because it's something I'm asked pretty frequently is, how do you know how much to charge? Well, I'm going to show you a little bit of how you can start it. And it starts by charging cheap and increasing your prices. That's the punchline, but I'll give you a little more specifics. But first, let's do one of these over here, another 3-minute business plan. And let's go to, we have a couple different options for expert type domain names. I like this one. Relocationexpert.com, $55 over on GoDaddy, starting a 3-minute timer now. So relocationexpert.com, you see it's going for pretty cheap. Again, it's in the transportation industry, specifically probably household moving is usually where relocation comes in. And I could tell you, so let me pull up the relocation. I'm just going to search for relocation real quick. So I'm searching up relocation. And let me show you these screens. Delay in the switching of the screen. There we go. So 18,000 searches. Now, I'm not doing a search for expert. I'm just doing a search for relocation, but we're targeting relocation. That is our primary keyword that we're going for. And you'll see here again, the cost per click on this, $4.53. So, so for the primary keyword that we're kind of going after. Now, I will say, it says here, keyword difficulty is very hard. Yes, this is a very hard keyword to go after. I can tell you because we own movingcompany.com and a bunch of other related domain names, and we dabble in moving and relocation. So let's just see if there's anything singular. So relocationexpert.com, see if there's any keyword. So there's 10. So but there is cost per click. So you can see the cost per clicks on these are running pretty high still, and which means that there's going to be value in a domain name that's perceived as authoritative. Is this domain name authoritative? Yeah, I mean, it's relocationexpert.com. What do you expect to find on it? I expect to find somebody that's giving me advice, helping me avoid scams, helping me get the best deals. So this would be a great blog, which you can monetize through advertising revenue, but that would also require you to being super excited or passionate about moving, which I could tell you there's a reason why our moving sites don't get much time and love around here. It's not the most fun industry to deal in. So, but yeah, relocationexpert.com. I would probably either go being the expert or helping people find experts. There's not too many relocation experts out there per se. I think you need to develop it as a brand where your site is the expert. You can always go the route of relocationexpert.com. We help you find quality moving companies, quality relocation companies to take care of your next home move or office move. You can, of course, choose a niche. Office moves are pretty niche. Niche, whatever. I like niche because it's all about the, niches are in the riches. Niches don't work the same way. Anyhow, you've heard me talk about this all the time. Anyhow, my wife's laughing in the other way because she knows how much of a geek I am with words and I suck at them. So she's learned not to correct me. So anyhow. So relocationexpert.com is it's a good domain name. It's going to go for a little bit of money because a lot of people are always looking for angles to sell leads. There's good money in selling leads and relocation and moving, as well as relocation goes with relocating offices, businesses, cars, heavy machinery. You can be a relocation expert and make some pretty good money. So there you go. There's a 3-minute business plan for relocationexpert.com. I do expect that one to go for several $100s, probably just shy of $1,000. I know that seems crazy, except for there's big money in that industry. So where there's big money, there's going to be big pockets to buy domains that shouldn't go for more than a couple $100, but that domain probably will go for more than that. So if you can get that for below $400, I would probably put that development score around a 6. So relocation's not the best keyword. Relocation expert, of course, drops it down to nearly 0 keywords. So there we go. Relocationexpert.com. How would you develop it out? Any moving? I every once in a while I'm contacted by people that develop moving domains. So the more the merrier. I think we have movingservices.com, movingcompany.com, a bunch of different pretty good moving domain names. Someday we'll get around to developing them a little bit better than what they are. Moverreviews.com, moving reviews. Those are actually, a lot of them are developed, just not making money. Sorry, sweet, it's not making money. It's one of the, actually, okay, let me just say this. The most expensive domain name I ever purchased was movingcompany.com. And I bought it. I bought it basically way overpaid for it, right around $200K for it. Yes, a 2-word keyword. It was after towing.com was starting to become successful, and I'm like, I got this. Everything I touch is going to turn to gold. And I'm like, sweetie, don't worry about it. It's in our wheelhouse. We'll buy movingcompany.com. Makes complete sense. And anyhow, so long story short, it makes almost nothing. And it's the $200,000 I told you so that is hanging over my head constantly until I get around to getting that site to make some money. So there you go. Yeah. So, or if anybody wants to buy it, it had a manual action on it from GoDaddy, and took me months to clean that up and get that off and all kinds of different stuff. So it's finally ready to go. Well, I mean, years ago I did that. So it's nice, clean domain, just needs some love. So anyhow, movingcompany.com. So relocationexpert.com, good industry. So let's talk a little bit about the pricing strategies that I was talking about over here. And what I made a note of is scarcity and founding. So on our sites now, especially the new sites that we've done as from Thought the Profit as part of that documentary where we launched bodyguards.com, photobooths.com, and helicopterrides.com, we introduced something called founding members. And I actually see this a lot more now. Back when we did a few years back, it wasn't as common, but now I actually see it with a lot of businesses that are launching or launching a new product. Even my mentor, Darren Hardy, he is launching a new training, and those people that are part of the first group are the founding members. So essentially, this is a tactic that you can use when you're launching a business on a website to create a little bit of scarcity. Oh, I'm trying to show you this. Okay, so you can create a little bit of scarcity because your founding class is going to be limited in size. But then you could also create a little bit of authority because now these are the people that stepped up first. You know, everybody likes to be first. not everybody, but you can kind of really allow people to brand themselves as the first people on this. Like, hey, I was a founding member. And on our sites, I don't know if it's easy to pull up or not, but I'm trying to pull up photobooth.com. This is a risky thing because I never know if I'm going to run into an error or not. But let me find. Just want to look at a company grabbing. So what we did was here you go. You can see over here. So Absolute Music, DJ, and Photo Booth Service, one of the featured members on photobooth.com. They are a founding member. So basically, what that is that is something we added to where every time that the only way to be a founding member on any of our sites is if you're one of the first companies. Usually we set that as like 100 companies. So let me pull up another sheet of paper or go to the back side of this, because what I want to show you is I'm a disaster. So as you have your price chart and what your product, your value is going to be kind of on the low side. But if you can do things like adding, creating founding members and things, you can charge on the low side here. But you're only doing this for the first 100 companies. So those first 100 companies get that. But then what you're going to do is you're going to increase your price. So now there's scarcity. So what you've done is you've created it to where it's like, hey, the first 100 companies are going to be founding members. I need to get in first. And you're charging the lowest price you will ever charge. That's one of the key things. And you need to actually stick with this, even though it's a bit hard. The price that you charge for those founding members, for your first people, whether you call them founding members or not, needs to be the lowest price you're ever going to charge. So they are paying the low price. They are like buying in before anybody else does. So a lot of times, like we'll charge like $19.95 a month or something that's like justifiable just by the domain name alone. And those are our founding members. And you can do that because you're only offering it to the first 100 people. Of course, you won't probably make money in the long term necessarily, when you get to 1,000 people or whatever, because those are low numbers. And once you start hiring people or growing your company, you'll find that $19.95 is a little tough when realistically you're going to have a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 customers. Trust me, the money goes pretty quick. Anyhow, so those founding members, you don't want to offer that up. Partly, it's not even just about you don't want to. What's going to happen to the value over time as your site increases in search engine traffic, as your site grows in industry, as people view it as more authoritative, as people view that domain name as more meaningful, the value is going to skyrocket, right? Like now, towing.com generates over $1 million a month in valuable SEO traffic every single month. The value has skyrocketed. So now we can charge out in here. So what we do is we set up a tiered program to where maybe the first 100 companies will pay this amount. And now those first 100 companies have kind of proven our concept. They've filled in the site a little bit. It's that whole chicken and egg thing, like who was there first. Now those companies have proven us. So now the next 200 companies maybe pay twice as much. So now it's kind of like, hey, we already have 100 people proving the concept of what we're doing. And these 100 people have allowed us to, your first customers are going to be the ones that provide proof of concept. They're going to provide content and seed your site to where the value you provide is higher. The thing is, you don't want to let the next round of customers come in, benefit from those first customers. Those first customers, your founding class, did the work, even if all they did was sign up and fill out some forms, but they did the work, they took the risk. And now these people later are coming in and paying the same price and benefiting from what those early companies did. No. That's why the price goes up. It rewards your early customers, and it also makes sure that you're charging more based on your value. So the let me give you a couple benchmarks that I do as far as I go this. A lot of times we'll start with, we'll look at like 1995. Then a lot of times we'll go to like $30 a month. I love $45 a month, $60 a month. Now, you can jump up in these prices at any point. And then, of course, $80 and then $99. I try to avoid going above 100. It just depends on who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with, small businesses, mom and pops and things, once you start to talk about 100 plus, you're going to have to be able to almost guarantee results, which we guarantee some results and stuff. Well, we actually guarantee value. We don't guarantee necessarily results, but we can guarantee that we will show them value. So as you start to cross different thresholds, you'll find that people set a different bar for you. So anyhow, let me just say this. One thing that Darren has said in some different trainings and things, I've worked with Darren for quite some time. Darren Hardy, that is, author and business coach. One of the things he talks about is how much you charge for something. A lot of people are, well, it's based on, profits, expenses. And you charge whatever you can sell it at is realistically what, like, how much is this cup worth? Well, it's only worth whatever I can sell it at, right? If I can sell it, if I'm a skilled enough salesperson to be able to sell you that cup for $200 because of some whatever reason, then it's worth $200. I can sell it at $200. So think about Apple, right? Apple sells iPads, watches and things. They don't sell them at what it costs them to make it plus. No, they sell it based on whatever the heck price they think they can sell it at. That's why you get these phones and things that are so much more expensive. Like, that's why they're a $1 trillion company, is because you want their products. You think their products are sexy, and you're willing to pay the amount regardless of the fact that they're paying, pennies for people to build these things and stuff. Anyhow, okay. Don't want to get too crazy, but realistically, the price you charge is what you're able to sell it at. So if you're a skilled salesperson and your marketing's spot on, then you could probably sell these early things forever. Now, the reason why I really try to keep our prices low is not because we can't sell it for more, but it's because of this. If you recall, I talked about this last week when we talked about funnels. We are looking to tap a domain name and then pull out monthly revenue. We're looking for a reoccurring revenue. Now, if you think about if you're a gifted salesperson, you're like, boom, we're going to sell a listing on our site. We're like really good at sales. We're going to get this sucker on the hook and we're going to charge him $1,000. Well, what's he going to do month 2? He's going to cancel that crap. He's probably going to do a chargeback because you didn't provide him value. And when you get into being a company that deals with recurring revenue, you have to provide the value. In most cases, I say you charge 1/10 of what the value you believe you can provide. If you can say our service is $1,000, you could easily charge $10 or $100. There you go. Maths. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. So when you're doing reoccurring stuff, you're going to want to try to charge around 1/10 of what you can justify the value at. And that's just kind of a rule of thumb more than an actual, like, what you need to do. There is no set rule on that kind of thing. It's just you want to be able to put together a good, it's called a value stack. Maybe someday we'll talk about value stacks. But value stack, if you Google it, it's just the idea of you ever watch a scene on TV and during that show, they're like, hey, you buy this, we'll throw in an extra free and we'll give you this bonus and we'll do this. They're stacking on the value. They're saying, hey, the value of this is at least $100, but then we're going to double your order. It's going to be valued $200. And then it's like they're setting up a value stack and then they're giving you a bonus. And then, oh, by the way, one more thing. And that's a value stack. It's the idea that you're showing value, even if the value is made up. Like, realistically, who believes that those plastic things they sell for $9.95 are actually worth $150? Like, yeah, it can save you $150 in time. That's how they get away with saying that kind of stuff. But nobody believes that your 3D injection molding thing. Anyhow, so value stack. So hopefully this makes a little bit sense. As I'm running down on time, I don't want to spend. So these prices, there's a little bit of a reason why we specifically these prices, and that is because these are monthly prices. So we've found that these prices are good for monthly. I really love 60 and 80 especially. 45, 60, 80 are some of my favorite prices. And the reasons that is you can do monthly pricing, and then you can offer a discount to where if they do annual, they get like a month free, and it lets them stay below certain benchmarks. So you'd have to kind of run the math on it, but I want to say that $60 is right around $500. I think it's $495. 60 times. Anyhow, okay. 45 times 11 is 495, if I'm not mistaken. So 45 allows you to offer your service for less than $500 a year, just like 80 allows you to offer it for less than $1,000 a year, I believe is what that ends up working out to. So I know 83 times 12 is 1,000. Anyhow, maths. So that if you run those numbers, depending on the discount you want to give for annual, if you offered annual, we try to keep everything month to month. I'm rambling a little bit, so I appreciate you bearing with me. If anything in those ramblings, you're like, "Ooh, that was interesting," but you got off track there, Drew. Feel free to hit me up in the chat, hit me up in the comments, or tweet at me at Drew Wash, and I'm happy to dive into those a little bit more and try to clarify. I love this stuff, and I would seriously love to just sit here and answer questions and dive into this stuff. So, okay. So let's do one more 3-minute business plan, because I showed that the time is getting down to 3 minutes. So here's what we have. We have lingerie-shop.com. I could do financeexperts.com, weightprograms.com. I mean, best personal trainer. I feel like I've done quite a few fitness type domain, so I'm going to avoid that one. Let's go with lingerie shop. I have no idea what I'm going to say with this, but dag nabbit, lingerie. Who doesn't like lingerie? I like lingerie. I guess it depends on the person that's on it or wearing it. Okay, anyhow, I'm probably getting even redder than usual. So lingerieshop.com over on GoDaddy, and you can see it's going for pretty big money already. It's starting the clock over there. Okay. So 3 minutes. Lingerieshop.com over on GoDaddy, currently $9.18. And I think it says exactly what you're going to find on the domain name. So I'm going to start pulling up domain or I'm going to pull up the keyword. And let me show you this here. So I have no idea what to expect. Oh my goodness. Okay. So if this ever shows over on the screen, lingerie as a keyword is 820,000 searches for lingerie. So lingerie shop is of course going to narrow. It's going to narrow that market down to specifically people that are looking to buy. Realistically, people don't try on lingerie, so buying online. Let's see what the lingerie shop specifically has on it. So even lingerie shop is 5,400 searches in the U.S. And then we got the Aussies over here pulling down nearly close to it. So a lot of lingerie is being purchased over in Australia. High keyword difficulty, cost per click is 81 cents because clothing and things probably low margin. Well, high margins, but probably low volume. Lingerie shops near me. I love seeing near me type keywords because near me means that you have local B2B type things. So instead of only dealing with consumers, you can actually show lingerie shops and maybe get them to pay a monthly or annual fee to be listed on lingeриeshop.com. Then, of course, here we go. You have your members, those who want to appear on lingeриeshop.com. You have the actual lingerie shops that can show up, and they show up with maps and local directories and things. But then you also allow them to list some products, whatever, to buy online if they do that. I don't know how that would work, but dagnabbit, that sounds like a fun idea for kind of an in, that marketing hook, that opportunity to really be able to call a lingerie shop and be like, hey, we're lingerieshop.com. We want to show you so that way people could find you on lingerieshop.com. Basically, you pay us $10 a month, $19.90. You'll be a founding member at $9.95 per month, and that's only available to the first 20 shops nationwide because we're brand new. And you pay that per month. We show you, and what we allow you to do is customize a profile and put some of your products on there and link over to your online store, or I don't know. I'm guessing they have an online store nowadays. So I don't know, something like that. What do you think? I think it's an interesting problem being, they want more business. Solution being lingerieshop.com allows them to take advantage of some internet traffic. And I don't know. I would love to Google lingerie shop and see what's out there. But like I said, my wife's in the other room. She's over there. Maybe Christmas ideas. Anyhow, well, thanks for joining me again here from Domain to Profit, where we look at domain names that are available this week and talk about business models that we can put up on them. I hope you got some value out of our discussion on value, because realistically, that's why I'm here. I'm hoping that through these discussions, through the domains that we bring up, through the different ideas, your brain gets rolling on how you can develop out your own domain names, or possibly find a domain name on the show that you want to get and then you want to do something with. So yeah, hopefully there's some value. Well, I will be here after Christmas on next Monday. We're going to just toss together a show. I'll actually be remote again. So it's going to be me and a laptop, maybe by a pool, and we'll chat a little bit then about what the new year looks like for domain development. So thanks for joining me. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. And if you are celebrating Hanukkah currently, Happy Hanukkah, and take care. We'll see you soon.